Okay, everyone. I know what you're thinking. You're looking at this and saying, "Oh, you bulked it up. Why do you got all these lines in there, and then you got this baker over? What are you doing?" You're right. I screwed it up. No, I didn't screw it up. These lines are not going to be really very visible by the time we're done with this. Okay. So the dilemma for me was, you have someone walking, a farm girl from France, and she's walking down this road or coming from this, wherever this road is coming from. And is the road a dirt road or is the road a paved road? Now, if you've been to France or, Spain, Portugal, you'll realize that even in some of the older parts, the paving, either with the cobblestone or the cut granite, is just common, even on an old road. So I think we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make the cut granite or the cobblestone, and there are ways we can work that. But so we've put the grid in there, and we've kind of done a little bit of a daVinci thing here, where obviously the grid is getting bigger and bigger as it gets closer, and we have a little bit of what you have, what we would call in video game design, the view frustum. So in the view frustum, everything moves in, and the ceiling moves down, and the floor moves up. And artwork is really that way too. The ceiling moves down, the floor moves up. So the floor moves up means, of course, people that are further away are up higher, depending upon where you actually want to position them. Okay, so and we are reflecting the fact that the walls move in, floor moves up. We see the floor moving up, and we don't really see the ceiling or the top moving down, but that's going to kind of start happening in here. So what we're going to do is, a la daVinci, we're going to put a little bit of a scumble on top of this. The scumbles being a little bit, they're like a glaze, but they're going to be lighter. We're lightening it up, and that's going to be on top of our little grid here. And we're going to go from light to lighter, 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 lighter. And that would be what daVinci would have recommended. If you haven't read daVinci's notebook on art, read it. You won't understand it. You're not going to understand it, because he's so difficult to understand. But you'll remember what you read. And then when you get to a point in your artwork where you're saying, daVinci was talking about that. What did he say? You'll go back in the book and say, oh, yeah. He said, if it's in the distance and you're trying to accomplish a certain thing, make it lighter. Okay. So daVinci, read him, don't understand it, but, or if you've been painting for a long time, some of the things he said you're going to understand. You might even disagree. He was very much against actually outlining your figures. But obviously Van Gogh wasn't against that, so, and Van Gogh was no slouch. So, to each his own, right? But I think, and in terms of proportionality, daVinci really had that down. Somebody who kind of violated that just a little bit, kind of danced on the edges of that, but was brilliant, was Norman Rockwell. Norman Rockwell's work, he could make hands, veins, everything look so realistic, newspapers. But he sometimes toyed a little bit with, the size and proportion of things in the. He took a little bit of liberties, I think. What Norman Rockwell used to do is, he would find people in the neighborhood, if he needed to draw like a girl on a scooter or a boy on a bicycle, he'd take a, he'd get him on the bicycle, he'd take a picture of him on the bicycle so he could make it real. You have to. You can do so much out of your mind, but after that, you need to actually see what you're painting to a point. Okay, so we're gonna do some realistic things here. We're gonna get her thumb in here. I never finished her thumb, and I think we're gonna get her eyelashes. I didn't do her eyelashes, but I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on her. She needs a lot of work, but I'm not gonna, and here's why. And this is a philosophy I encourage you to have when you oil paint. Okay, here I encourage this. If you feel that you have done something well, and even other people have come along and said, "Oh my gosh, I like that. That's nice," and you're happy with it, but you know the painting's not done, and you know you have other things to do, then my recommendation is leave the part that you're happy with. Don't go fiddle. Don't manicure it. We used to say, in construction work and masonry work, don't manicure it. If you do, the job will never get done. So go work on some of the other things that you have to work on. And in the meantime, you're letting this dry, and letting it dry is important, especially if you're going to be doing glazes or scumbles, because then you really want to be going over a dry surface. And see what I got happening over in here. This, I'm really happy with this. I know it seems strange, but we kind of got a little bit of a tavern here, and then you got the baker, and it's a little bit of a dreamscape. I understand, and that's an easy way. That's an easy out. If you don't have the proportionalities and dimensions all right, you just say, it was a dreamscape. But that's really what I wanted to accomplish here, is a bit of a dreamscape. So you're kind of coming out of this crystalline background, and instead of just saying, I'm going to paint a tavern here, I looked closely, and I'll show you the original painting of what I started with. I looked closely and I said, you know what? That looks like a tavern in there. And so I started painting the tavern. And, there are other things that you will see. I got a little house way down here. It's going to be down the hill here. A little house. All I did was add the window and the chimney. So it was there, So sometimes you'll look at something you did in your background and you say, I kind of like what's there. I'm just going to work on it. I do that. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I did it. There was a painting I did of my daughter. I'll show it to you, where I painted her and her dog, and her dog had a little teddy bear, a red and white teddy bear. And I'm painting that painting, and sure enough, I looked, and that teddy bear was there right by the dog's mouth, but it was in black and white. All I had to do was paint by numbers and fill in the red. There was the teddy bear. It was like, did I do that subconsciously? Or was I just looking for the happy accident that I was able to turn into something? I think there are people who really frown on doing what I just told you, but I enjoy it. So to each his own, right?